It's Friday the 3rd, February 2023. I'm over here in Las Vegas at my McDonald's office. Uh, I just had to come on and make some comments. Forgive me. I'm noticing a lot of very weird stuff as we make this crescendo to the full moon. As you know, we have a full moon with the moon in Leo opposing Sun in Aquarius. And in the middle, we have that hard angle with Uranus and Taurus. So on a recent video, I talked about the subject of global finance. Well, it's going more crazy than ever. For example, right now, Pakistan, okay, it is the next casualty of the American Federal Reserve financial actions. Pakistan is essentially going down the toilet, just like Sri Lanka, Venezuela, Cuba, uh, other parts like South Africa, and many other countries that are going. And it's a result of what we export. Inflation is like toxic sludge poison that we export to the rest of the world, just like we export garbage. And so that we don't have it in our backyard. But the thing is, it does and will come back to bite us eventually. So that's just one example. Now, the thing is with Pakistan is that they are in deep negotiations with the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Guess who owns and operates the IMF? Well, if you follow the dots, it all comes back to the United States banking system, the Federal Reserve, and the Treasury and that crowd. They just wrap it up in a different institution with a different name. And the whole idea with the IMF is to make it look like we are here to save you. All you have to do is scream in desperation, and eventually we will say, okay, we will create a loan package for you. And here are the conditions. Sign this piece of paper, and you will have billions of dollars. And so the country is desperate, and so they sign the paper. And the next thing they know, they become another crippled debt cow of the United States, but this time outside of the United States. Is Pakistan an enemy of the United States? Debatable. I don't see it that way right now. Anyway, that's just one tiny example, okay? Western Europe is having to do the same thing. Yesterday or the day before, Jerome Powell raised interest rates again, and he's going to raise them again. So every other country on earth in their central banks are going to have to raise their interest rates, or else they and their economies will be destroyed the same way as Pakistan. You see? Also, here's something Love Triber pointed out to me this morning, and I just verified it on Twitter. Love Triber pointed out that there's this fellow called Michael Burry. You might have heard of him, maybe not. He's a very successful, very shrewd investor. He's American. He was made famous in the movie called The Big Short. It all coincided with Pluto at 0 degrees Capricorn at the time of the implosion of the American economy and the housing price collapse and all of that stuff when President Obama took office in 2008 and did essentially a taxpayer bail-in to save Wall Street from their criminal activities. Anyway, Michael Burry predicted all of it, and he did a classic Wall Street trade against the flow, and he cashed out for billions because he's very, very smart because he could see it all happening. Well, anyway, Michael Burry is kind of radical and different. He invests in things that are maybe not very glamorous or interesting or suitable for headlines. And his biggest concern of all is commodities, hard commodities. Now, you might think of timber, oil, gas, soy, wheat, orange juice, uranium, concrete, hard, solid commodities. But his biggest one is water. Now, why would that be so? Is it something to do with that we have maybe 8 billion people on Earth right now, and we are starting to pollute and poop and pee in our own nest more than ever before? And having good, clean, pure water is going to become the number one commodity eventually. Think about it. Anyway, he is very shrewd about the markets, and he just posted something on Twitter. One word: sell. There's a lot of people who follow Michael Burry and his stock market and trading behavior. And so that sent off a frenzy. People didn't understand it, but the way it looks to me is basically if you are in the markets, if you're in the stock markets, sell. Get out now. Pull your money out now. Get what you can as fast as you can and get out, because things are going to go. Stock prices will start crashing. Inflation will go up. Housing prices will go. Interest rates for borrowing money for credit cards, car payments, mortgages, college loans. Those rates are going to go up and up and up and up. The value of your dollar is going to go down, 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 down. And this will have a cascading effect across the rest of planet Earth. Thank you, America. That's what we do. So anyway, think about it. I don't have to worry because I don't have I'm all right. Like, what's that expression? If you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. There you go. So in a way, I'm not worried. I'm not that marginally affected. So I can observe, and I observe very closely, because everything that I just described in this video so far correlates very strongly with my mundane perspective about global astrology regarding global finance. Okay? Here's another quirk about global finance. You know about this big, let's say, emergency that happened across the world in the last couple of years, marked with number 19, and you know how that affected the oil and gas industry. Well, guess what? Shell Oil, one of the biggest oil and gas operations in the world, just reported, because they have to, they just reported their biggest year's profit by far in the whole history of their existence. So basically the same story is going to apply to Exxon and Mobil and all the Saudi oils and the Norwegian oils, other American oil companies. Now, I wonder how that happened. How and why did all our oil and gas prices go up so fast and so high? And did that have to happen? No. It happened because it's all staged and operated by a bunch of elites who essentially own the world and run the world, including the United States, where the United States federal government is essentially running off of a script provided by the corporatocracy, the oligarchs, the plutocracy. So here's another really freakish one. This is more to do with the telecommunications and bizarre technology, which I associate with Uranus and Aquarius. So right now, we have Saturn in Aquarius, right? We have the Sun in Aquarius, and we're going to come into full opposition from the Moon in Leo. Okay, so it's going to highlight these Aquarian, Uranian themes. And in the middle, we have Uranus. Hello, Starzy. Good to see you out there. In the middle of this big fat opposition, we have Uranus in Taurus, which of course is the radical shaker-upper. It's the radical surprise planet that comes out of nowhere and freaks people out, for better or worse. And that's its whole agenda. Shake things up so we can actually evolve instead of putrefy and stagnate. So that's happening right now. The world is getting really, really shaken up in material, measurable terms. Obvious ones with the torus energy is floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, uh, earthquake, whatever, all those big global physical phenomenon of the planet itself. And of course, that's literally just, it's just the planet breathing. You know, it's just like it has a hiccup, a belch, a fart. Maybe it's got some aches and pains and it just wants to de-stress. Because remember, the planet is under stress just the same way our physical bodies are. Our planet is being consistently and continually pushed and pulled and pushed and pulled like a Play-Doh ball. Of course, we can't see it except in things like, you know, the earthquakes and the tectonic plates, all that stuff. So it keeps going on and on and on. I've got another one for you. This is hilarious. I'm sure some of you have heard of ChatGPT. Okay, it's this new high-powered, ultra-high-powered artificial intelligence software. It's owned by a company called OpenAI, which has these different layers of, let's say, operations and ownership. I might have talked about that already. But the quirky thing right now, the first thing I'm noticing is that what I've been reading is how it is already surpassing Google search in terms of desired clicking. In other words, when lots of, especially young people, or people in the workplace, or intellectuals who need, let's say, written or scripted data or information or feedback, instead of going to the traditional Google search bar, they're turning to ChatGPT. And they're getting faster, better, higher quality, more unique responses than anything remotely coming out of Google search. So ChatGPT is now the enemy of Google search. Finally, Google search has an enemy. Because right now, Google search, which is owned by Alphabet, Google search owns about 85% of the global internet advertising market through search, okay? The global search function of Google search is designed through its algorithms to suck you, the inquisitor, into scrolling until you see something that triggers you, which happens to be something to do with advertising a product or a service. Click. You click on that, then it justifies the algorithm, and everything else on the search page that you just went to is just filler fluff. The whole business model of Google revenue is for you, the consumer, to click on an ad. You don't even have to buy anything. You just have to click on the ad, and then Google collects money. So that business model is starting to go for Google. The weird thing about ChatGPT is that it's already becoming so big, so powerful, and so capable that people are starting to realize this thing is starting to teach itself about what people want and turning it into scripted language. Now, there is a shadow side to ChatGPT. I think I mentioned this. ChatGPT is made and designed by people. Somebody designed the code. The code is owned by a place called OpenAI. I believe Microsoft is the biggest shareholder. Elon Musk was very early involved, but I don't think he's there anymore. But OpenAI takes piles of money, sends it over to a place called, I think it's called SourceDate or something like that, which is like an outsourcing third party, like human resources service, which hires the most effective, affordable labor to do the millions and millions of hours of grinding work to create the original content that has to be turned into code and loaded into ChatGPT for ChatGPT to work. And right now, effectively, ChatGPT relies on, it's not slave labor, but it relies on very, let's say, affordable labor over in Kenya, Africa. This secondary company, contracted by OpenAI, hires local Kenyans who are very smart and intelligent, hardworking, to go through all the internet data that has to be scrolled and sifted and turned into useful material for ChatGPT. And guess how much those guys make in Kenya? Please don't quote me. As far as I've lost my track of information, but it was either $2 an hour. Well, it's more like $1.60 an hour. Something like that. Could you live on that? No, not here in America. You'd be dead. You'd be dead in a week. Well, 10 days. You can live for about 45 seconds, maybe a minute without oxygen. You can live for a few days without water. You can live for a few weeks without food. Air is the real problem, as you know. That's the next one. Who's that? Hello, Robin. Good morning. Hi. Here's another one. It relates to Elon. Again, this is the Aquarian Uranian theme on steroids right now. Remember, Elon Musk has a massive Aquarius theme. It's very active. It's very hyper. It's Mars in Aquarius in the 8th house. So it's very much about big money involved with other people's money. In other words, his massive, powerful, volatile connections with Wall Street billions, if not trillions. Anyway, he is actually on record for stating that you could actually power the whole of the United States with solar. If you could find a place in Nevada that is roughly 100 miles this way by 100 miles this way and just fill it with panels. You know, you take one of my little maps of the United States, that's not much. I don't see how you could do it with that, but he says you can. He's a very smart guy, maybe you can. So he says 100 miles by 100 miles full of solar panels. Take all that power and then load it into some batteries. The batteries have to be there because they have to store the electricity so that it can be pumped around the country when it's dark at night or when there's a shortage back east or something like that. And he says you need roughly an area about 1 mile by 1 mile loaded up to the ceiling with batteries. I don't know. I'm not convinced. But anyway, he says so. A lot of people believe him and believe in him. So I don't want to go into like the different countries. Well, I'll forget that. You've probably heard this one already. It's kind of outrageous. It's about the balloon over Montana. Okay. It's actually been there for a couple of days, but it hasn't been released into the mainstream media until effectively today. It means it's gone over ABC, CBS, MSNBC, NBC. Frankly, every major news outlet across the world is now talking about this ridiculous balloon story. They've identified it as a Chinese balloon, and there's so much like gossip and kerfuffle going on about it. It makes you wonder what's the timing. It's like a timing issue. And people like myself, and like Love Triber, and a few others are starting to think, it's a little bit suspicious because this has happened before. China is already spying on us full time anyway with TikTok and satellites and everything like that. We have full control over our airspace. So how and why is this balloon there at all? Some people say, shoot it out, shoot it down. Some people say, no, you can't shoot it down because it'll hurt somebody, or there's things in there that we need to gather. Some people are saying, oh, just send up a helicopter and drag it down. You can't do that. Helicopters can't go that high. It's hovering over very sensitive areas to do with nuclear missile bases in America. That's a problem. Also, there's another one in Canada, on the Canada border. And of course, you can even see a map. They've even showed a beautiful graphic map of the path of the balloon flying over and then landing, stopping somewhere right here in America. China doesn't need to do this. So some people are thinking like, whoa, this whole idea is staged. Now, why would this be staged? A balloon is fairly harmless on its own. On the other hand, it's very weird that this is happening. So what's happening, really? Is the balloon making you look, oh, over there, look over there, everybody? Where in fact, the big problem is over here in the swamp, in the sewage pile, deep in the sewage pile of Uncle Joe and his son, Mr. Hunter, and the crime family that they represent. Because things are getting very ugly, ugly, ugly for those people. And it's all coming to the surface like a massive oil spill sludge that you just can't stop. So it's now up to the mainstream media to stop people focusing on Joe. I'm a little bit of a conspiracy, I'll even say it, theorist. Sometimes I'm like folks who feel the same way and we're proven right. Sometimes we're considered crackpots. But anyway, it's a very convenient, benign distraction. And it looks really, really embarrassing for the United States, because the United States Pentagon is going like, well, we know what this is, but we're not going to shoot it down. We've got this. We're sitting on top of this, so don't worry, folks, okay? We got this. We got this. Oh, sorry. What was that question? What was that question? Yes, okay. No, we can't answer that, sorry. What was your question? Oh, no, we can't answer that. It's top secret. What was your question, sir? Oh, no, we can't answer that. Top secret, top secret. What we can tell you is that it is a balloon, and it's on top of Montana. Next question, please. Oh, no, I can't answer that. Oh, no, I can't answer that. Okay. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. I got a couple other tidbits. There's something very scary happening in South Africa. You probably know South Africa is it's heavily populated. It's a very kind of turbulent place. And they're suffering massive, continuous power blackouts. Also, they've got a lot of issues with, currency, money, inflation. It's the same story. If you take my little map, there is the United States at the epicenter. And our biggest export, the thing that we export, is inflation. Inflation is the destruction of the value of money. We send that overseas so we can protect ourselves and basically impoverish and destroy potential enemies. It's a beautiful business model for the United States Federal Reserve, but it's coming unglued because the rest of the planet Earth has figured it out, and they're sick of it. And they're so sick of it that you can see that they are very, very sick because of it. Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil, all of them. It's going to be a very long, slow devolution. But my charts that I was making a few years ago about the value of the dollar going like this, the rate of inflation going like this, and the transition from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius. It isn't going to happen like a full moon thing over a few days. We're stretching out this experience over years. just to go over the cusp. Literally, that's the astrological time frame we're dealing with. January 2020, from the date of my book, right up to, I would say, roughly 2033. Those are kind of the critical periods. Pluto in Aquarius is going to be detected this year, but we won't get into it for real till next year. And then we've got 20 years of Pluto in Aquarius. So we're looking at long-term revolutionary radical upheaval, complete upheaval of global politics and finance, okay? So prepare yourselves now. Do whatever you can, do whatever you have to. Remember, the US dollar is going like this for everybody, not just people outside America, but for all Americans, okay? The stock market is going to go. Certain people will, of course, benefit, profit tremendously. But for the rest of us, we the people, mostly we don't have the power to control any of that stuff. So what you have to do is find ways to protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself, okay? I'll leave it at that. Have a super day. I'll see you all again soon. By the way, please practice when you can clicking the link to go to Terra Illumination live Zoom meetings, because next week we're going to have a live event in the evening on the Zoom. You can go there, click in, and you can hang out. We'll do it like this. You and me and you. And you can ask all these quirky, difficult questions that would otherwise be censored. Okay, let's get going. Have a super day, folks. I'll catch up with you all again soon. Bye-bye.